The world watched in disbelief. From 1914 to 1918, a great war raged across Europe. It was a war unlike any before. Millions of soldiers clashed in new and terrible ways. Countries formed two main sides, the Allies and the Central Powers. The Allies included Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually the United States. The Central Powers were Germany, Austria, Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. This was the First World War, often called the Great War. It was a global conflict, with battles fought not just in Europe but also in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The scale of the fighting was immense, and the cost in human life was staggering. Many factors contributed to the outbreak of World War I. One major cause was the rise of nationalism. This is a strong feeling of pride in one's country and a desire for it to be powerful. Another cause was militarism. European nations had been building up their armies and navies for years. They saw military strength as a sign of national prestige and power. Imperialism, the competition for colonies and overseas empires, also played a role. European powers clashed over territories in Africa and Asia, increasing tensions. Finally, a complex system of alliances entangled the nations of Europe. These agreements meant that if one country went to war, its allies would be obligated to support it. The alliance system was like a house of cards, just waiting for a single event to topple it. In 1914, that event occurred. Austria-Hungary, a large empire in Central Europe, was locked in a rivalry with Serbia, a smaller nation in the Balkans. When Austria's heir to the throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, a list of harsh demands. When Serbia failed to meet all of the demands, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, was a pivotal moment in history. It was the spark that ignited the tinderbox of European tensions. The assassin Gavrilo Princip was a Serbian nationalist who believed that Bosnia, then part of Austria-Hungary, should be part of Serbia. His act, while shocking, was the result of deep-seated nationalist and political tensions in the Balkans. Section 5. Trenches and Terror, a new kind of war. World War I introduced new horrors to warfare. One of the most terrifying aspects was trench warfare. Armies dug long, elaborate trenches to protect themselves from enemy fire. The area between the trenches, known as no man's land, was a desolate and dangerous place. Soldiers faced machine guns, artillery bombardment, and poison gas attacks. Life in the trenches was miserable. Soldiers endured constant fear, mud, disease, and the stench of death. Section 6. Key battles, blood and mud. World War I saw some of the bloodiest battles in history. The Battle of the Somme, fought in France in 1916, was one of the longest and deadliest battles of the war. Over 1 million soldiers were killed or wounded. The Battle of Verdun, also in France, was another horrific battle of attrition. It lasted for almost 10 months in 1916, with both sides suffering massive casualties. Section 7. A world transformed. World War I had a profound impact on the world. Politically, it led to the collapse of empires. The Austro-Hungarian, Russian, Ottoman, and German empires all crumbled. Economically, the war devastated Europe. Countries were burdened with massive debts, and economies were in ruins. The war also had a deep social impact. The loss of life was staggering, with an estimated 8.5 million soldiers and millions of civilians killed. Section 8. The war to end all wars. The devastation of World War I led many to hope that it would be the war to end all wars. People longed for a lasting peace. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, officially ending the war. However, the treaty imposed harsh punishments on Germany, which many historians believe contributed to the rise of fascism and the outbreak of World War II just 2 decades later. Section 9. Legacy of the Great War. World War I was a turning point in history. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new world order. The war had a profound impact on the 20th century and continues to shape our world today. It led to major advances in technology, medicine, and communication. It also led to social and political changes, including the rise of new ideologies and the emergence of new nations. The lessons of World War I, particularly the importance of diplomacy and the dangers of nationalism and militarism, remain relevant today. The Great War serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the importance of striving for peace.